بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My young boys and girls, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Here we come to meet again in this blessed month of Ramadan. I hope you have enjoyed so far fasting the number of days we have all fasted. I also hope that you have enjoyed every night of Qiyamul Layl after Salatul Isha in the form of Salatul Taraweeh that you have done so far. This is session 2 in our series of coming to know about العزم من الرسل, those 5 prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the highest level of determination. Remember, the subject we discussed last time was the story of Sayyiduna Noah. Today we will discuss the story of Sayyiduna Ibrahim, عليه وعلى نبينا محمد أفضل الصلاة والسلام. Sayyiduna Ibrahim was sent to people at a time when people, believe it or not, were so away from the truth that they were making up their own idols and worship them. Can you imagine? Can you imagine people getting to that level whereby they will make their own idols, their own items to worship, and then they will, bow and make sujood and offer their worship to these idols? Because people need by nature, people want to submit, they want to worship, but if they are misguided, they wouldn't know who to worship. So Sayyiduna Ibrahim عليه الصلاة والسلام was sent to people in such a circumstance. Sayyiduna Ibrahim, I want you to memorize this term. He is known to be Abu al-Anbiya, the father of prophets. Why is that? It is because Sayyiduna Ibrahim عليه السلام, on one hand, he had with his first wife, Sayyiduna Ismail, who was also a prophet, and from the grand children of Sayyiduna Ismail came our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's on one hand. On the other hand, Sayyiduna Ibrahim, with his second wife, had Sayyiduna Ishaq عليه السلام, who was also, like Ismail, a prophet of Allah. And from Ishaq and his wife had Sayyiduna Yaqub, who in turn with his wife had Sayyiduna Yusuf, and a tree of prophets came down that way. So at the top of the tree we have Sayyiduna Ibrahim, who is the father of prophets, and from different kind of branches, on one hand we have Sayyiduna Ismail and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam much later on, and on the other hand we have Ishaq, Yaqub, Yusuf and other prophets. Okay, so that is important for you to know about. Now, the story of Sayyiduna Ibrahim, dear boys and girls, have got many sides to it, many branches that are mentioned in Quran. I, in this session, will be focusing with you on one specific aspect, which is a conversation that took place between Sayyiduna Ibrahim and his father. His father was unfortunately a non-believer. He did not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Sayyiduna Ibrahim felt for his father. Like you and I, we will feel for if you or I have a cousin who doesn't pray, or have a brother or sister who do not pray, we feel for them. If we have a neighbor who does not fast, or go to the masjid, we feel for them. If we have a friend at school who is not obeying the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we feel for them, and we would want to remind them to the path of good that you and I are on, which is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what did Sayyidina Ibrahim do in an attempt to invite his father to the orders and instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Sayyidina Ibrahim went and he had the following conversation. Now, in Surah Maryam, I want you, with the help of your parents, to locate Surah Maryam in Quran, which is chapter 19. And I want you to open to verses 41 to 49. And I want you to read these verses in Arabic, understand them in English, and then reflect on the discussion that we will have now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these verses says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واذكر في الكتاب إبراهيم إنه كان صديقا نبيا. That is the first verse. The meaning of these verses in English is as follows. I want you to pay attention. And one of the lessons as I read the conversation that took place between Ibrahim and his father is for you and I to know that Sayyidina Ibrahim has prepared himself. Before he went and spoke to his father, he had sat down, organized his ideas, planned of what he wanted to say, and then he went. He didn't do it just like that randomly to go and say anything. No. He was well organized. He had a plan in mind. He knew what he wanted to deliver. He knew what he wanted to say. So what did he say to his father? He said, "Why, O my father, why do you worship that which does not hear and does not see, and will not benefit you at all?" Can you see? He is trying to get to the heart and mind of his father. Next, he said, "O my father, indeed there has come to me of knowledge which has not come to you, so follow me." O father, Ibrahim is saying, follow me, follow me. I will guide you to the even path. I will guide you to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next, Sayyiduna Ibrahim said, "O father, do not worship a-shaytan. A-shaytan will whisper in your ear. A-shaytan will say to you, do not pray, do not fast, do not go to the masjid." Sayyiduna Ibrahim is saying to his father, do not worship a-shaytan. Indeed, a-shaytan has always been disobedient to the Almighty, disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Finally, Sayyiduna Ibrahim said, "O my father, indeed I fear that there will touch you a punishment from the most merciful. That is, if you do not follow the guidance that I am offering you." Can you see how polite Sayyidina Ibrahim was? Can you see how considerate Sayyidina Ibrahim was? Can you see how well prepared Sayyidina Ibrahim was in putting his ideas? He was using words of respect, words of wisdom. He was saying, Ya abati, the most beautiful way of reaching the heart and the mind and the emotion of his father. And he spoke in an eloquent way, putting his ideas. What was the reaction of the father? Very, very sadly, the reaction of the father was, "أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم?" Do you dare deviate from the path that I, your father, and your grandfathers were follow, which is worshipping idols? Do you dare do that, Ibrahim? لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ. If you do not abandon your path, Ibrahim, لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ. I will either stone you or I will send you away from this village. وَهْجُرْنِي مَلِيًّا. Can you imagine? Now, little wisdom on the part of the father will have meant that he will say to his son Ibrahim, okay, son, thank you for your message. Give me a couple of days to think it through. Can you come next week, son, and we will talk about it again? None of that. His reaction was immediate. His reaction was impolite. His reaction was aggressive. He said, I will either stone you, punish you, or I will send you away. How did Sayyiduna Ibrahim react? He reacted in a very balanced way. He reacted in a very balanced way, which is the way we should react. He did not burst against his father and say, look, I've done what I can and I'm not going. No. He said, that's fine. That's fine. I leave it at that. He wanted to leave some room for his father to possibly reconsider his ideas. Boys and girls, I feel by now that we have successfully completed our second session of this series, Al-Anbiya'u wal-Rusul, Ulil Azmi min al-Rusul. We have discussed in some detail in this session the story of Sayyiduna Ibrahim, and we highlighted in summary the following aspects. 1, that Sayyiduna Ibrahim was sent at a time when people were worshipping idols. 2, we now know that Sayyiduna Ibrahim is Abul Anbiya, the father of prophets. 3, we now know that Sayyiduna Ibrahim had had a meaningful session of dialogue with his father. In it, he prepared himself well. He approached his father with respect and wisdom, but sadly, the father rejected the call. That is something that might happen with all of us. I hope that we have learned from the story of Sayyiduna Ibrahim things that we can put in practice in our own life. I end here. I wish you a nice iftar tonight. I wish you a pleasant night of Taraweeh tonight. Please make dua for us. Make dua for our Muslim Ummah. Look after yourself. Be obedient to your parents. And I look forward to seeing you next with our third session of this series of Al-Anbiya'u wal-Rusul, Ulil Azmi min al-Rusul. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.